Hello, Schulman Group members. This is Chris Varanis, Executive Director, and I'm very pleased to bring you a series of podcasts featuring many of the speakers from our upcoming conference in Laguna Niguel this March 2020. These podcasts are designed to give you a little preview of their presentation that they'll be giving, as well as to reintroduce you to them as we look forward to our preferred suppliers and growing the SSG Management DSO. On our first podcast, we are joined by Michael White from Clifton, Larson, Allen. Michael is a principal with the company, and Clifton, Larson, Allen is a leader in DSOs and financial growth in the DSO space. They also specialize and work with over 7,000 dentists and physician offices on their accounting needs. So, Mike, welcome to our podcast.
Hey, thanks so much, everybody.
So tell us a little bit about the company and what you do specifically for individual practices, and then what your work is with dental support organizations.
So thank you, everybody, for having me this morning, and excited about the conference in March in Laguna Beach. Of course, no better place to be at that time of the year. You know, our job here at Clifton, Larson, Allen, CLA is what we've become known for, is really to help small business owners. And in our job in the healthcare space, we help 7,000 doctors nationwide, half of them dentists, the majority of them in the pedo-orthodontic space. We've been in this space since 2010. I've been one of the leaders in the solo and multi-site DSO space, helping business owners, run business, run budgets, run forecasts, run their business, really tell their story. One thing I like to talk about with our doctors is, what is your story, and let's let it be heard. What we have found in this space as a CPA firm is a lot of CPA firms really just focus on tax, accounting, and year-end audits, and they forget there's a business to run 365 days a year. So we really try to help shape those in-between days, which is every day, of what are you trying to accomplish? What are your goals? What are your competitors doing? What are you doing within your practice? What do your team want? Whether it's a solo practice and you want to grow it and build it, have multiple operatories and possibly an associate, or multiple locations and you want to build out a brand and build out something across multiple states. We've been there to help advise along the way in every one of those facets. My work at CLA is one of the dental leaders of the firm, heading up the accounting and advisory side of the business across our states. CLA is the 8th largest firm in the nation, although they're the largest firm that focuses on small business. Every other firm in our top 20, if you will, across the nation, all do publicly traded work, all do SEC work, and that isn't our focus. Our focus is to work with small business owners. So excited to be a part of this.
So what we're really excited about is your presentation, which you'll be concluding with a panel discussion with Bill Newman from DSO News, is really twofold. You're going to be speaking to the doctors about their individual practices and accounting methods and some of the things that you just mentioned for their appropriate financial reporting stories. But also you're going to be talking to the group as a whole on strategies for building this DSO that we've just recently formed. And as you know, we're kind of an unusual DSO. I mean, the old adage is if you've seen one DSO, you've seen one DSO. But we're even to the extreme. We're considered an inside DSO, where we started with 115 individual practices that have formed together, but those 115 practices are still independent owners with equal shares in the DSO, which is quite a different model. Now, while we've been successful in securing, at this point, 19 preferred provider agreements, what are some of the strategies that we need to do to continue to be recognized as a DSO, maintain our independence, but moving the members into purchasing and doing things in the same direction, which of course will lead to greater value, their value and their shares in the DSO?
Well, you just mentioned it. The key to DSO success is truly the replicability of a DSO. So utilizing similar vendors, utilizing same standard operating procedures, utilizing the same story to say we are a collective unit. So often I see devaluation where there's 20 different labs, 20 different suppliers, and nobody's being consistent on how they're doing it. Not only are you getting inefficiencies in cost, and from a benchmarking, of course, a CPA standpoint, we're seeing, detriment to the EBITDA, if you will. But you're also getting better cash flow today. You're also getting better opportunities by aligning and having a single voice to what you're trying to accomplish. You definitely are a unique brand and unique DSO in this industry, and it's exciting to see this come together.
Well, what's really, I think, exciting and very helpful for us is the enthusiasm of which we have been greeted by the suppliers to the orthodontic community. I mean, the Schulman Group is a well-respected and well-known study club that was around for over 30 years, and now that we're a DSO, while we can't drive business from the top, we can encourage. But what's been great is that our preferred suppliers, such as 3M, Invisalign, and Ortho2 Edge, and others, are taking a calculated leap of faith. We're going to drive business their way. So they are treating us as a DSO and have come forward with excellent pricing and educational programs to help us get to where we need to be. And how do we get that message out to the membership that it's really in their best interest to move towards these preferred suppliers as they're a part and a shareholder in this entity?
The key, obviously, building on this conference alone, building on the editorials and some of the podcasts that we've done along the way together, and those not only ourselves here at CLA, but 3M and some of the other vendors that you mentioned as well, ensuring that the team members, the members of SSG Schulman Group, are listening and taking advantage of that. One opportunity, obviously, building with amongst team members, and one of the things I love about these conferences is the fact that you're a collective at that point, and you're really sharing ideas and seeing what's working, what's not working. When we look in the accounting industry, we understand that the average, and I hear this from bankers, not only our own experiences, but other bankers that are in this industry, the average financials are over 90 days old when they're requesting financials from practices. Our goal is to be delivering within 15 to 20 days of every month end. That amount of information that quick at your fingertips is critical for you to make decisions, day to day within running your practice and making tweaks of the success of a marketing practice or your supply relationship or your, lab relationship or anything along those lines, whether you're going to do a bonus at year end for your team or you're going to just, let it ride and go one more year at the same level of staff costs. Those kind of decisions are critical, but the members have to really take advantage of everything you've aligned.
One of the questions, or one of the things that you're going to be discussing, and switching gears here from the DSO to the individual practice, is you're going to be discussing what the members or what dentists, doctors, physicians need to do in terms of their own accounting. And one of the things that's mentioned here in the description are KPIs. What are you finding in the practices that you're working with now where, let's just say, some challenges or mistakes are being made? And what are the most important KPIs that individual practices need to be collecting to improve the efficiency and the profitability of their practice?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we've hammered home just the timeliness of financial statements, and I'll continue to make that point. But really, what we have found is doctors tend to lend and lead their practices by their end-of-day report and the cash they have in the bank account, which is only giving you a very small sliver of the story. So what we tend to look to, and those key performance indicators are not only the benchmarks. So what is your ortho supplies as a percentage of your income? What is your, total staff costs as a, percentage of your income, your marketing dollars? But it also gets into some of those end-of-day reports, end-of-month reports, and saying, okay, how many doctor days are we working? How many number of starts are we doing today? How many consults did we do? So what is our conversion rate? What are the contractual receivables within our practice? Are we setting up our cases to be a 24-month case, but only an 18-month collection period? Meaning we're going to have this gap of doing work during a period that we're not getting paid, or in the inverse, a 24-month payment period and only 18-month in brackets, where we're seeing the chances of getting those last 6 months of payments a reality. And we see time and time again that strategy of just not knowing the business well enough and not knowing your individual business well enough are hampering some of the collection efforts and efforts of running your business.
And when you find these things, these areas of concern with these practices, what are some of the recommendations that you make in terms of internally how they do a better job? I mean, the orthodontist is dealing with the clinical aspects. He or she probably have office managers, they have maybe some bookkeepers, this type of thing. But what are, to truly take let's say a $1.2 million practice and increase that to a $2 million practice, and with the growth and all the things that you expect, but what are some of the financial things that they need to be doing, both from a structural standpoint and the types of information they need to be collecting?
The word I use so often is accountability. Somebody has to own the process. You understand, and you mentioned the doctor is typically busy chairside, but they're also, as an entrepreneur, I don't read many business books, but E-Myth is a good one that I really enjoy. But as that entrepreneur of that business, they're wearing every hat. They are the CEO, the CFO, the chief marketing officer, the chief technology officer, all along the way. So ultimately, the buck does stop there. But along the way, there are individual tasks that can be driven and assigned and allocated, and with assistance from team members. You mentioned the office manager. You mentioned that bookkeeper, possibly CFO, even on a fractional basis. You mentioned possibly a chief marketing officer, which again can be done on a fractional basis. And somebody's owning those key performance indicators, owning those stats to help them drive that business forward. So one of the things that we talk so often about is setting 90-day goals, because we can see the needle move on 90-day goals. So maybe the first thing as they're working through the vendors that you've established is we look through the 19 vendors that you've established and saying, what is the first thing that we're going to implement into our practice, our multiple sites? And how do we see the impact, the positive impact that's making within our business? So if ortho supplies is that thing we're going to take advantage of, or maybe we have a big Invisalign piece of our ortho practice, and we're going to utilize some of the aligned technologies and kind of work through those pieces. We want to see how does that impact our practice so that momentum will continue to build on itself. But the critical piece is somebody within the office, whether it be the office manager, or maybe we assign the front desk person to be our purchasing manager, or things along those lines. We're really focused on saying, if this isn't working, that person is ultimately accountable to this discussion and these decisions. So that's the big thing for us, is we come in there from an accountability party. So it's not just producing financial statements, it's going over those financial statements and showing you the positive impact of utilizing each of these vendor relationships y'all have established.
Well, I think the important thing for those folks listening today are a couple of things. One, you'll be able to speak with Mike individually, one-on-one appointments at the meeting in March. And also, please go to the website where you'll see a webinar that Mike did for us previously with some additional information about his company. One final thing with respect to the program, something new that we've done this year. The Schulman Group has never really brought in a lot of outside speakers. It's been mostly Schulman Group members speaking to Schulman Group members. So this program is having a mix of the two, and we've also broken the days down by areas of interest, such as clinical, marketing, and the day that you're speaking, obviously, is on financial topics. And what's really going to be exciting is the opening speaker is going to be talking about leveraging consumer healthcare, leveraging consumerization, connection architecture, and disruptive innovation. The gentleman's name is Nicholas Webb, and he's being brought to us by Align Technologies. Then for the second part of the morning, Joe Cortese from DeMeo Schneider, which is a leading financial planning company dealing with private wealth foundations and others, and they're going to talk about the state of the market and how that relates to where you are in your career in terms of, you're getting ready to retire, your mid-career, whatever, and some strategies there. Then Bill Newman is going to be talking, who's the publisher and editor of GroupDentistryNow.com, about the state of dental support organizations. And then after Mike speaks on his topics, Mike and Bill are going to sit down for a panel discussion. And if you were interviewing Bill, and who obviously is coming with the wealth of, because it's the leading publication in the DSO space, and the members are going to have an opportunity to speak with both of you. But if you were asked to throw out a question to Bill on where he thought DSOs were moving. I mean, you have Heartland with 1,000 offices now. You have Pacific Dental with 800 offices. And then you have all these emerging DSOs where, 5 practices, 6 practices. In fact, when I was speaking at the Student Dental Association meeting last year, I had a second-year dental student say, as soon as I graduate, I'm starting my DSO. So where do you think in, 5 years from now, where do you think dentistry is going to be? Is it true that the classic mom and pop around the corner dental practice is going to be a thing of the past? Do you see more consolidation with the larger DSOs, or do you see some of what we're having, which is the inside DSO, where there's no private equity involved, where the owners are the shareholders? Where do you see things happening in 5 years from now, particularly with our model?
So speaking to Bill Newman yesterday about this 5-year run, if you will, that we're in the middle of, As we start seeing where we are in that consolidation cycle, I'm one that never believes we will be 100% consolidated. When we look to our physician brethren and the veterinary that's a little bit further along than the dentistry today, what you'll still see is people that want to have a solo practice. I've had the privilege of speaking to several at these student associations or even DSO conferences that ask me with their one great practice, hey, should I do this? And I ask them a few critical questions of, are you prepared for this? Are you prepared for that? And their face just lights up like, no, I'm not. It's like, then don't do it. Run your great practice, continue to be independent, join an association and make sure you can compete where you need to, but continue to run your story, run your business model. But as you look to what Schulman's doing and obviously the experience and the knowledge base that y'all are collectively doing, the uniqueness of this is one that's amazing. There aren't many people that are going to be able to create and do what you're doing just because there aren't the associations out there right now that have this experience and knowledge base and, of course, specialty. As we look to the next 5 to 7 years, I think specialty is the way that's going to be the next wave of consolidation. So many have focused on the consolidation of the general practitioner, where specialty, whether it be orthodontia, whether it be endodontics, I'm seeing a lot of, oral surgery. I'm starting to see more and more wave, and the 3 practice groups that I'm working on right now, diligence projects on, are all specialty related. So I see that happening over the next few years, especially as interest rates continue to be low, valuations continue to be high, where there's tremendous opportunities to continue to be part of the consolidation if you want to be. But if you choose to be a solo practice, there's going to be successful part of your life that you'll continue to have your dental practices and run it. So that's what my thoughts are.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time. Again, Schulman Group, you can contact Mike directly. His information is on our website, and you can speak with him one-on-one during the meeting in Laguna Niguel. And Mike, thanks again. I've had the privilege of knowing Mike for a couple of years now, met at the Association of Dental Support Organizations, and we're very happy, very honored to have him working with the Schulman Group. So thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you. I'm excited to be part of the team.